Humans don't make peace with their food. Captain Zaruz of the Zorak fleet could not believe his auditory receptors. Standing on the bridge of his command ship, he replayed the intercepted human transmission again. The message was clear, and it was no garbled static from a distant star system. These were the words of Earth's top military commander. "Run it through the translator again," Zaruz demanded, his eye stalks quivering in agitation. The bridge crew, a mix of various species from the Zorak Empire, dutifully complied. A moment later, the same words echoed through the command deck, this time accompanied by a holographic image of General Marcus Steele, the human commander, delivering his speech to a crowd of Earthlings. Zaruz turned to his lieutenant, Tusk. "What does it mean?" Tusk, whose knowledge of human culture was second to none within the fleet, shifted uncomfortably. "It appears, sir, that humans view us as prey. They have no intention of negotiating peace, they believe in conquering and consuming." A murmur of disbelief spread through the bridge crew. Zaruz silenced them with a wave of his claw. "Preposterous. This must be a psychological tactic to intimidate us." He turned his gaze to the vastness of space displayed on the view screen. Beyond the hull of the command ship lay Earth, a deceptively beautiful blue marble swarming with life and danger. The Zorak fleet had been dispatched to this remote corner of the galaxy to establish a foothold on the planet, but so far, every attempt had ended in disaster. Ships vanished without a trace, squadrons of warriors were obliterated, and not a single Zorak had returned with any intelligence on the enemy's true capabilities. Zaruz resolved to be different. He would not let his crew succumb to fear or superstition. "Prepare the fleet for immediate assault," he ordered. "We will show these humans the might of the Zorak Empire." General Marcus Steele stood in the command bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, overseeing the final preparations for Earth's defense. The latest reports confirmed that another alien fleet was inbound. Steele's face, a craggy landscape of scars and determination, betrayed no hint of doubt. He knew what needed to be done. "Sir, the Zorak fleet is mobilizing," reported Colonel Hayes, his second in command. "They'll be within firing range in 15 minutes. Steele nodded, his steely eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the approaching fleet. "Good. Let's remind them why they should stay away from Earth." Hayes glanced at his superior. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" "Granted. Why don't we just try to talk to them? Maybe this time it could be different." Steele's gaze remained unwavering. "You think we haven't tried that? Every time we've shown even a hint of weakness, they've attacked us harder." "No, Colonel, we can't negotiate with predators. We have to be stronger, fiercer. If we want to survive, we must become the hunters." The minutes ticked by, each second a drumbeat of impending conflict. The Zorak fleet emerged from hyperspace, their ships forming a phalanx of shimmering metal and energy. Zaruz watched from his command ship, his mandibles clicking in anticipation. He had heard the tales of Earth's defenders, but he refused to believe that such a primitive species could pose a genuine threat to the Zorak Empire. "Deploy fighters and prepare to engage," Zaruz commanded. The fleet surged forward, weapon systems primed and ready. In the command bunker, Steele observed the Zorak formations. "All units, prepare to engage on my mark." The first salvo came from the Zorak fleet, a barrage of energy blasts that lit up the dark expanse of space. Earth's orbital defenses activated, intercepting the incoming fire with precision. The skies above the planet turned into a battlefield of light and fury. "Send in the drones," Steele ordered. Swarms of autonomous fighters launched from hidden silos, their sleek forms darting toward the Zorak ships. They moved with the agility of predators, weaving through the enemy's defenses and striking with surgical precision. Zaruz watched in disbelief as his ships were outmaneuvered and outgunned. How is this possible? They are just drones. The Zorak fleet's coordination began to falter under the relentless assault. Steele's tactics were ruthless, exploiting every weakness with cold efficiency. Each Zorak ship that fell only fueled the humans' resolve. In the chaos of battle, Zaruz received a transmission from one of his scouts. "Sir, we've detected unusual energy signatures on the planet's surface. It's possible they have a new form of weapon." Locate and neutralize it, Zarus ordered. But as his scouts moved to comply, they were met with fierce resistance. Earth's ground defenses were as formidable as its space fleet. General Steele watched the battle unfold, his expression unreadable. "They're adapting faster than expected," Hayes observed. "They always do," Steele replied. "That's why we have to stay one step ahead." In the heart of the conflict, the Zorak flagship took a direct hit, its shields failing under the relentless bombardment. Zarus knew the battle was lost, but retreat was not an option, not for him. He would go down fighting, proving to his superiors and his enemies that the Zorak were not cowards. "All ships, continue the assault," Zarus roared. "We will not be remembered as the fleet that ran from humans." The battle raged on, each side refusing to yield. As the flagship began to break apart, Zarus found himself admiring the tenacity of his foes. Perhaps there was more to these humans than he had realized. But admiration was not enough to save him. In his final moments, Zarus transmitted one last message to his superiors: the humans are predators. Back in the command bunker, Steele watched as the Zorak fleet disintegrated. He knew this was just one battle in a long war, but it was a victory nonetheless. He turned to Hayes, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. "Prepare for the next wave," he said, "and make sure that message gets out. Let them know Earth is not to be trifled with." As the debris of the Zorak fleet burned up in Earth's atmosphere, Steele knew the aliens would come again. And when they did, humanity would be ready to remind them once more why Earth was a place where invaders disappeared, never to be seen again. General Steele stood amidst the organized chaos of the command bunker, analyzing data from the recent battle. Earth's victory over the Zorak fleet had bolstered morale, but he knew the respite would be brief. The aliens would regroup and return, perhaps with even greater force. "Sir, another transmission from the Zorak homeworld," reported Colonel Hayes. "It's garbled, but we can make out a demand for our surrender." Steele allowed himself a brief, humorless smile. "They never learn, do they? Patch it through." The screen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of High Commander Nalcor, leader of the Zorak military. His eye stalks quivered with barely restrained fury. "Humans, your insolence will not go unpunished. Surrender now, and we may show you mercy." Steele stepped forward, his expression cold and unyielding. "High Commander Nalcor, Earth does not surrender. If you want our planet, you'll have to come and take it. But I promise you, your fleets will vanish like all the others." Nalcor's mandibles clicked in frustration. "You underestimate the Zorak Empire, General. We will bring our full might to bear upon your pitiful world." "We'll be ready," Steele replied, cutting the transmission. He turned to Hayes. "Double the production of drones and enhance our orbital defenses. They are coming back, and we need to be prepared." In the depths of space, High Commander Nalcor seethed. The humans had humiliated the Zorak Empire time and again. This affront could not stand. He summoned his Council of War, a cadre of the most brilliant and ruthless minds in the Empire. "We cannot afford another failure," Nalcor began, his voice a low growl. "What is our next move?" Admiral Zarak, a seasoned strategist, stepped forward. "The humans have proven themselves formidable in direct combat. We need a different approach. Intelligence suggests they rely heavily on automated defenses and drones. We could deploy an electromagnetic pulse to disable their technology before launching a ground assault." "An EMP?" Nalcor mused. "It's risky, but it could work." "What do we need?" "Our engineers can modify a fleet to carry and deploy the EMP device," Zarak replied. "It will take time, but it will give us the advantage we need." "Do it," Nalcor ordered, "and make sure our ground forces are ready to deploy immediately after. We will hit them hard and fast." On Earth, Steele and his team worked around the clock to fortify their defenses. They had intercepted fragments of Zorak communications suggesting a new strategy, but the exact nature remained unclear. Steele knew they had to be ready for anything. "General, we've detected unusual activity near Mars," reported Lieutenant Davis from the sensor array. "It looks like the Zorak are massing a new fleet." Steele nodded. Alert all stations. We need to be ready for their next move. Days passed with mounting tension. The Zorak fleet drew closer, and Earth's defenders braced for the inevitable clash. When the attack finally came, it was swift and brutal. EMP. Detected, shouted Hayes as the warning lights flashed across the bunker. They are trying to disable our systems. Steele's heart sank. The Zorak had found a way to bypass their defenses. Activate the backup generators. Deploy all manual systems. We need to keep fighting. The EMP wave swept across the planet, knocking out power grids and disabling drones. Earth's automated defenses went dark, leaving the planet vulnerable. In the chaos, Zorak ground forces began landing in major cities, their soldiers pouring out in droves. "Sir, we're losing control." Hayes shouted over the din. Steele gritted his teeth. This was the moment he had feared, the moment when all their preparations might not be enough. But he refused to give in to despair. "Mobilize all ground forces. We fight them on our terms now." Across the planet, humans took up arms, from military units to civilian militias. The battle for Earth had entered a new phase, one that would test every ounce of their resolve. The Zorak soldiers were fierce, but they found themselves facing an enemy that fought with the ferocity of a species defending its home. In the streets of cities and towns, human ingenuity and resilience shone through. Improvised weapons, guerrilla tactics, and sheer determination turned the tide in several key locations. In the command bunker, Steele received updates from the front lines. "Sir, reports are coming in from New York, London, Beijing. They are holding the line." Steele's resolve hardened. "Good. Let's make sure it stays that way." The battle raged for hours, then days, each side refusing to yield. But slowly, the tide began to turn. The Zorak, for all their technological superiority, were unprepared for the sheer tenacity of the human resistance. They had underestimated the humans' ability to adapt and fight back. In the end, it was not a single decisive blow but a series of small victories that turned the tide. The Zorak forces found themselves outmaneuvered and overwhelmed. Their fleet, unable to sustain the fight without ground support, was forced to retreat. High Commander Nalcor, aboard his flagship, watched in disbelief as his invasion crumbled. "This cannot be," he muttered. "They are just humans." But the reality was undeniable. The Zorak had been defeated once again, not by superior firepower but by the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to be conquered. Back on Earth, General Steele surveyed the aftermath of the battle. The cities were scarred, the casualties high, but humanity had emerged victorious. They had sent a message to the galaxy: Earth was not to be trifled with. As he stood amidst the ruins, Steele knew the war was far from over. The Zorak would return, and when they did, humanity would be ready to remind them once more why Earth was a place where invaders disappeared, never to be seen again.